Jojo.
It is
Hey,
I, Funk.
The funk.
to inter
Sorry.
to introduce this to those who might not be familiar with it, this is a fic that I wrote a little while ago. It is a Dancestor fic, although it hybridizes before us in Alternia and calls it Alternia. It's got most of the Dancestors, I think all of the Dancestors, and a lot of the beta trolls. It's a cyberpunk AU. We are a decent way into it. It's a long fic, and there's a lot going on. Relevant tags, probably not. I don't think there's anything like super triggering in this chapter unless like relationship drama is something that you really don't want to see. And Doc Scratch is generally pretty creepy, just like unsettling and gross, as he typically is.
Content
Woo!
warning. Be
Yeah.
fun to read for that one.
Yeah, so if you do read the fic, please do mind the tags. There are some chapters that are particularly not fun to read, and there is some not particularly explicit sexual content. But I did trigger warning the specific chapters that have like particularly rough stuff in them. So yeah, I think if we're all ready, we can get started.
Hell yeah.
All right, this is chapter 16, Out of Step.
Val, did you want to do Meenah?
I think Val's doing Scratch. I don't. Is Val on the call?
Might be having mic issues.
Val's having mic issues.
Jojo, I nominate you for
Jojo.
Meenah.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jojo. You want to voice Meenah?
Okay.
Cool.
Well,
The link to the fic
let's
is
see
in
here.
fanfic read chat.
Yeah.
okay. Let me get my bearings here. Okay, I have it open.
I
Yeah,
nudge
Meenah's
a
line
napping
is the first
Jojo.
one, too, so.
All right, cool. Here I go. All right. Oh, it's me first. Oh, here I go.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me just Oh, what? What does it say?
Meenah leaned in closer to see the screen for herself, scanned down to the bottom, and she actually laughed.
Oh, this is such a fucking trap.
She shook her head. There was no possible way that anyone was going to fall for this.
Is that Meenah Paishes I hear? Say hello, Meenah. You look as delicious as ever. Don't worry, I can't actually see you. But there is audio. Audio which, by the way, I am co-opting from the authority. How does it feel to be spied on?
Oh, fuck you. Why shouldn't we just let them know what you're doing?
To what end, my darling Meenah? What would that accomplish for you? I would vanish like a gentle spring rain, and you would languish under the thumb of the authority, the Empire.
Meenah glared. She was pretty sure Scratch was telling the truth about not being able to see them, but it helped conceptualize just how intensely pissed off she was at him.
So we should be what? Under your thumb instead? Are you going to send us into another meat grinder?
I already told you. I weighed the odds. The probability of a sufficient number of you surviving was quite high. Although, if I'm being honest, I didn't expect you to personally survive. I underestimated Miss Circuit's concern for you, I suppose.
Meenah looked over at Aranea, who was visibly shaking in front of the terminal. Meenah put a hand on her shoulder, leaned in, and softly whispered in her ear.
Don't let him get to you.
I'm sorry, I'll have to speak up. It's not fair to whisper.
Fuck you.
Meenah said.
It's not fair to listen in either, but here you go.
In any case, you misunderstand me. My only goal is to free you from the servitude to the Empire. Doesn't that sound at least a little bit appealing?
Meenah looked at Aranea. The troll was starting to cry, staring off into the screen. She muttered something to herself, too low to hear, and buried her head in her hands. Meenah put her arms around her upper body and squeezed.
It's okay.
She said to Aranea. She wasn't good at this stuff. trying to be soft, but the last few days had been a lot, and she wasn't going to let it break her or the woman she cared about. She leaned in and whispered in Arania's ear again.
I need to talk to you in private.
Aranea sniffled and nodded.
Look,
Meenah said in her normal voice, directing it at the Telnet terminal.
I don't know how the fuck you think you're even gonna make this work.
It's important that you consider your options carefully. You can listen to me, or you can keep serving your authority masters. Doesn't the prospect of freedom seem enticing?
Sure, so did the prospect of having their lives back.
Meenah glared.
Look where it got them.
But not you, right, Miss Paches? My darling girl, the most precocious of them all. You know better than the rest, right? Because you've seen it from the top. Disgusting. No wonder you were labeled a blood traitor.
She growled.
Grr, you don't know the first thing about it.
Maybe. Imagine I'm shrugging because I don't give a fuck. Work for me and live, or betray me and die. Your decision. It's only a matter of time before I wrest control of enough systems, and then make your lives truly hellish.
A second later, the terminal blinked, and only the burning amber screen was left. Arania's sobs echoed in the nearly empty room.
Come on,
Meenah said.
come with me.
They'd each been given a small room to sleep in when they were in the authority safe house. Just a basic room with a small pile to sleep on and a dresser with a few items of badly fitting clothing that had been procured the day before for each of them. Meenah led Aranea inside the one she'd been assigned and closed the door. She led Aranea to the pile and motioned for her to sit. The cerulean blood let herself fall into the soft pile of blankets and cushions, and Meenah sat down next to her. She put her lips next to Aranea's ear. She spoke quietly, in a voice barely a whisper.
I assume he's listening everywhere somehow. There's something I hadn't told you yet. Something I was planning to ask you after the job.
Aranea nodded, but said nothing. Meenah knew she already got the idea. She'd been working for Alternian intelligence for sweeps, so she wasn't unfamiliar with this kind of thing. Meenah's breath tickled Aranea's ear.
I want you to go off-world with me. Like, permanently.
Aranea drew back and stared at Meenah. She shook her head.
You can't be serious.
She whispered back. Meenah nodded and leaned in again.
Horazahak owes me. There's a colony ship heading out to one of the nicer worlds in System 874. Landfall, they called it. Uncreative, but it's a name at least.
What about Scratch?
Aranea's whisper tickled Meenah's ear back, and she found herself blushing in spite of everything.
He doesn't know.
She said quietly. She needed to stay that way.
No one knows. I kept it off the telnet systems, didn't talk about it on the phone. Everything in the real. I didn't want anyone to know.
She paused.
I'm serious. I want you to come with me. Leave all this shit and just start over somewhere.
She seemed to draw up into herself a bit, and Meenah felt a pang in her chest.
Was it something I said?
Aranea sighed, a sound heavy with the weight of the world. She looked down and muttered something that Meenah couldn't quite make out. Meenah leaned in close again, her eyebrows raised in anticipation.
I don't know.
Aranea said. Her voice was even quieter than it needed to be in order to ensure she wasn't being overheard. Quieter than Meenah thought possible.
I don't know if I can do that.
Meenah felt her heart drop. She hadn't realized up until then just how important this was to her. I hadn't realized how devastated she would feel to hear those words. She couldn't think of what to say next. Aranea shifted, her face downcast.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be cut off like that.
Meenah shook her head.
What are you talking about? It's an established colony. I mean, it's not going to be glamorous, but it'll be comfortable. You know how much freaking money I still got? Why do you think I care about it? Think I didn't care about what Scratch had to offer? Because I still had you. And nothing else he could offer could possibly mean shit.
Aranea wasn't looking up at her, was in fact pointedly avoiding her gaze. The same quiet voice.
I don't think that's enough for me. I'm sorry, Meenah. I miss it. I miss the plugged-in way it made me feel. I miss the knowing.
The felt. She missed the felt. Meenah felt her insides start to turn flips, her guts twisting around and around inside of her. She was going to be sick. Aranea trailed off.
Isn't it all a big lie? The Authority or the Empire or whoever? The whole reason things like blood trader even mean anything?
She's not. She's not. She's not.
I think the next line is a Meenah line.
It's a Meenah line next.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, you're
Yes,
good.
we can
The
hear
next
you.
line is also Meenah.
Oh, I said the line, but I maybe didn't pick up. Here, I'll
There's
speak
another
closer.
line that's
The-
also Meenah.
You're
Oh,
not actually
You're not
thinking about
actually
what she
thinking
said.
about what she said.
Oh, you're not actually thinking about what he said, are you?
The feeling in her gut changed. Now she felt like throwing up.
You're not seriously thinking about what that creep said, are you?
Aranea shrugged. Meenah's guts told her to throw up, but she wasn't going to. Her face twisted into a mask of disgust, and she pulled away from Aranea a bit. They were no longer touching.
I can't believe this.
She said, her voice louder now. The idea of hiding from Scratch's potential surveillance abandoned.
I can't believe you're really thinking about what he said.
What choice do we have?
Aranea said, her voice turning to pleading.
And what does it even matter? What do we owe the Empire? You just want to run away.
Her voice was growing louder, and she was scowling now.
That's a load of shit.
Meenah snapped back.
What do you think the calculated odds will be next time? Will we have a better than 24% chance of survival? What about just one of us? That's worth it? For what? So you can be a goddamn felt junkie?
Aranea drew back as if she'd been slapped, her eyes a window of hurt and confusion.
No, I didn't. Not like that, I didn't.
That's how you feel about me?
Her eyes were watery and her lip was quivering.
After everything we've been through, that's what you see? I opened up to you. I was honest with you.
Her mouth hung slightly open, as if she had more to say but couldn't quite find the words.
It's not like that.
Meenah gasped out, starting to move forward. Aranea leaned back, then slid off the pile and got to her feet.
It doesn't matter. You can feel however you want about me.
She walked to the door.
Stop her. Say something.
Meenah opened her mouth, but the words wouldn't come out. Her mind was betraying her.
Say anything.
Aranea slammed the door behind her. Meenah was alone in the room, staring at the shadow of where Aranea had once stood.
What the fuck? Gay little women?
Yeah, the felt in this fic is essentially like a way of plugging into any systems that are connected to anything. You kind of like it's something that allows you to instantaneously access a lot of like computer systems, but it's also very like it's bad for your brain to do that too much. And Aranea cannot go back in without dying at this point. And desperately wants to. Yeah, there's more to it. The felt becomes a bigger thing later on. It's gonna get real fucking weird in like the next 10 chapters. But for now, it's just like a cyberpunk kind of thing.
Everybody buckle in, because shit's about to
Yeah,
get weird.
The deep felt gets introduced in like the next 5 or so chapters, and that's when stuff gets really, really fucky.
Yeah.
I
Deep
think
felt
I
sounds like
think my
a
thing
sexual
finally
maneuver.
works.
Oh god.
The fuck you say, eyes.